Hi everyone, welcome back to Rachel Pichler Yoga. We are getting into our hips and hamstrings today, so it's going to be awesome. Find a little bit of space to move and let's get started. We're going to begin today in child's pose. So you can find your way onto your knees. And if you have come into child's pose quite a few times, and you feel your hips while you're there, great. You're gonna have your knees out nice and wide, and you're gonna have your big toes together, and then you're gonna drop your forehead down. If you don't feel your hips a lot in child's pose, and you do wanna get into them more while we're here, you're actually gonna bring your feet away from each other, so out wider. So they might be so wide that they're on the edges of your mat behind the knees, but if your hips lift, like mine are right now, you want to think about bringing them back down towards the heels or sending them back towards the bottom of the mat. So then you feel that nice stretch to the hips. So they don't have to be out super wide, your feet. They can be kind of halfway, but we still want to think about sending the hips back towards the heels. So play with it, find what works for you, what gives you the best stretch to those hips, and let's relax. Let's settle in. So you can take your hands above the head. You might even want to push them into the mat a little bit here just to kind of give those hips a little bit of a assistance coming back towards the heels. And then just relax. Relax completely, resting your forehead or a cheek on the mat. Let's take a few breaths here. And then I want you to just kind of scan your body. How are your legs feeling? Your quads, your hips? Are you getting a nice stretch right now? Are you feeling nice and open? Or is there any discomfort? And then just notice and know that we're going to get a nice stretch today for our lower body. So you're going to be feeling even better than you are feeling now, or you're going to be feeling good if you're not feeling great in this moment. So allow yourself to just enjoy the stretches we come into and find what feels right for you and your body today. I'll try to give you guys a lot of options. Nice work. Okay. So take one more inhale and exhale. And then slowly let's start to lift those hips away from the heels. And you can bring the knees in so that you are in tabletop position. So we are going to come into a downward facing dog from here. However, if you're not ready for that, you want to stay in your tabletop, please do. But I want you to lift the knees off the mat if you're coming into down dog. Let your head be nice and heavy, and then we're going to take our dog for a nice big walk. So we're thinking about the back of the legs here, which normally I try not to let you think about them too much when we're in down dog because it is supposed to be about the upper body. But I just want you to bring some movement into those legs. So bend one knee, straighten the other, and switch sides. Pedal the feet. Get a little stretch to those calves. Still let the head be nice and heavy. Awesome work, you guys. All right, if you did lift your knees and you're in downward dog with me, we're going to bring the knees all the way back down to the mat. We're going to be sending our right foot forwards and finding a lunge. So sinking those hips forwards to the front of the room. You can bring your hands down to the mat. We'll untuck the back toes, find the top of the feet, and then just sink those hips forward, getting into that left hip flexor, the top of that quad. So you definitely might have your hands on the floor. Relaxing into it here. So you can stay like nice and still in this lunge, hips coming forwards the whole time. If you want to kind of move, I'm going to move a little bit today. So I'm going to send my hips backwards, straightening the front leg a little bit, getting into that hamstring, that calf, and then I'm going to come back into the lunge. Sink those hips, find that stretch, that left hip, and then send the hips back again. So you can keep kind of transitioning between the lunge, bending the knee, hips forward, and the half split, which stretches the hamstring and straightens that front leg. But if you want to stick with the lunge, you can stick with the lunge. We'll do more hamstring stuff later, so don't worry about it if you're missing it now. But just deciding what you need. Maybe finding stillness or just kind of moving from place to place. But if you are moving, try to link your movement with your breath. So as you inhale, you can come forward into that lunge. And as you exhale, you can send it back or hang out in each place for a breath or two. Awesome work, you guys. Okay, so send the hips forward. Let's all meet in the lunge. Settle in here just a little bit longer. Sink into those hips. Breathe. Awesome job. Okay, we're going to just move this front foot over to the left side and lay our shin down. We're going to take pigeon. So you can move the heel in towards that left hip if you need to. Think about squaring the hips towards the mat so we're not trying to roll over to one side. And then I want you to take your hands to the mat or the floor in front of you, and then let's lift the chest. Sink those hips nice and low. Breathe here. Drop the shoulders from the ears. Awesome job, you guys. You can stay here with a nice, tall, lifted chest, or you can start to fold forward, coming onto the forearms or maybe resting your forehead all the way down onto the mat. So wherever you are at, we're going to start to move. We're going to start to make our way out of this pigeon. So you can bring your hands back to the floor. We're just going to tuck our back toes under and then send that front leg forwards. But you could take down dog. But if you want to come to child's pose again, bring those knees out nice and wide. Maybe you want to take a break here and you want to give those hips a rest. Maybe you want to come into that wide-legged child's pose again and continue to work on those hips, but take what you need. If you're in downward facing dog, your hips are going to get a break. If you're in child's pose, maybe they get a break as well, but just take what you need. Awesome job, you guys. So if you did come into downward dog last time, we're going to come back into it. Maybe you're already there, but we're going to take our dog for a nice big walk again. So lifting the knees. Your feet are about hip width apart here. Pedal those feet. So think about bending one knee a lot and straightening that other leg. Pedal the feet, switch sides, switch again. And then one more time. Awesome job. All right, you can bring your knees all the way back down. We're going to bring the left foot forwards and find our lunge. Sinking into those hips. Hands can stay down on the mat. Again, you can stay in the lunge the whole time, maybe even lifting the chest, having your hands on your knee, or we can transition from the half split back into the lunge, back and forth. if it feels good. But just taking what you need. We're all different. And we all probably need some different movements today. So you can make that decision. I'm just here to give you ideas, suggestions. And I want to flow between the half split and the lunge right now. So wherever you are, let's come back to our breath. If you've kind of forgotten to put some effort into it. And then maybe just slow it down a little bit. And if you're moving, just try to link that movement with the breath. And if you're being still, just allow that breath to just keep you focused. Keep you relaxed in the stretch. So we're going to meet back in the lunge, wherever you might be. Just a few more breaths here. Feeling all that love through that right hip. Maybe even into that quad. Awesome. So if your hands are not on the ground, let's bring them down and start to move the foot over to the right side, finding our pigeon. So lay down the shin. Think about squaring those hips. So if you need to move your heel closer to that right hip, move it. Let's take the hands to the floor in front. Lift the chest. Inhale. Exhale. Soften those hips. Inhale again. Exhale, relax the shoulders. One more breath here, in. And if you want to fold forward, exhale to melt it down. So whenever you're ready to start to move out of your pigeon, we can do so. We're going to find a nice comfy seat. So if you do want to transition through down dog, please do. You can meet us in a nice comfy seat. But bringing that front leg forwards, and then we'll sit down. And then we can start here by just bringing the knees together. Do a little rock from side to side. Give yourself a little hug, whatever you need for those hips. But we're going to stick with the hips just a little longer. They're getting a lot of love today. So we're going to take butterfly. We'll bring the soles of the feet together and the knees out wide. So you can stay sitting in this one. You can fold forward a little bit, maybe sit nice and tall. Or if you want to have some fun, we're going to roll down onto our backs, but keep our legs in the diamond shape. But our legs are going to lift into the air. So sounds a little more challenging than it actually is. But if you want to hang on to your feet, well, again, this can be fun. We might have to play with it a little bit. You're going to want to start to lift the feet off of the mat, I guess, hanging onto the feet. Knees are coming out nice and wide. And then nice and slowly and controlled, we're going to roll onto our back. And you're going to keep hanging onto your feet. Unless for some reason you need to turn over onto your back without hanging onto your feet. You can definitely do that as well. I don't want anyone to hurt themselves. But it's not a big drop, so you should be okay. Woo! So coming down, again, you can skip this. You can stay seated. And then you're just going to hug the feet in and let the knees come out wide. A reclined butterfly. So you might like this one. You might be like, I get more of a stretch when I'm seated. Definitely go back there if that's what works best for you. And so if you are still sitting up, let me just come back up to meet you. You can start to come down onto your back. So however you need to get there. If you don't want to roll, I completely understand. Just bring your knees back together and gently bring your shoulders all the way down. So if you're on your back, you can let your feet find the floor, bring your knees together, and we'll be bringing that right knee in towards the chest. And then starting to lift the foot up for the ceiling. So you can hang on to the back of your thigh, the back of your leg. You can slide your hands up your calf. We're trying to get into our hamstring, the back of that lifted leg. You might even be able to grab your foot, but just find what you need, what gives you a stretch to the back of that leg. You can even, if you want a little bit more, straighten the left leg. And then just kind of breathing softness into the back of the ankle, all the way through the calf and that hamstring. So let's take one more breath here. Then you can start to let that right leg go all the way down to the floor, pulling the left knee in and then straightening that leg. So maybe you're still hanging onto the back of the quad. You can flex your foot. Keep that leg nice and active, nice and straight. Whatever you need. Maybe you've got a nice bent knee and you're still feeling a stretch. Play with it. Find where you need to be to get a stretch. And remembering you can straighten that right leg. I feel like it gives me more. So if you want a little bit more, you can straighten that right leg. So take another inhale here. And then slowly exhale and release that left leg, that left foot down. So we're actually going to rock all the way back up and find a nice comfy seat. We haven't done a whole lot of hamstrings, so we're going to finish off with a forward fold. So bringing your legs out nice and long. We'll keep the right leg out. And then you can bring the left foot to that inner thigh. So just placing your hands on the floor beside you, take an inhale, sit tall. And as you exhale, you can tip forward. You might have a nice big bend in your leg. You might be flexing your foot. Whatever you need to feel a stretch to the back of your leg. So we'll take an inhale to start to lift ourselves back up. And then as you exhale, send the left leg out. Bring the right foot to the inner thigh. Hands to the floor beside you. Inhale, sit tall. And an exhale to fold. As you become ready, you can use an inhale to bring yourself all the way back up. And we'll just bring the legs in and find a nice, comfy, seated position. Bringing your hands together in front of your heart and closing your eyes. Take a nice big inhale, sit a little taller. Exhale, let it go. Awesome job today, you guys. I will see you again back here tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. Namaste.